My name is Fiona Brennan and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist with a busy practice here in Dublin. I'm also the founder of The Positive Habit, which is an online digital program that was designed to bring hypnotherapy to more people, to make it more affordable and more accessible for people. The work that I do is to help people to overcome mainly anxiety, stress, burnout, negative thinking, and also in particular emotional eating. With the work that I do, of course I want to help my clients both online and in my one-to-one work, is to help them to overcome these issues because they are very debilitating obviously for them. But I also believe in reaching beyond that, and I believe in bringing out the best in the individual. And every person that I'm fortunate enough to help, I like to sort of help them to find the very best that is within them and help them to realise their full positive potential. So as Thomas Edison said, if we all do what we are capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. So that's the premises that I work on. A lot of the work that I do is also based on the positive psychology movement and neuroscience. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here in the hospital. Not exactly in the hospital, but close to the hospital and part of the hospital buildings. And the reason for that is on a personal level. I gave birth to my son here 8.5 years ago. And the positive memories I have of the experience are very, very strong for me. I also attended the fertility clinic, so I'm very much sort of a positive affinity with it. Two people stick out in my mind from that time for the care that I received, and I think that the kindness that I was shown at that time really does sort of represent the jobs and the work that you all do here. So I think it's sort of very important to acknowledge that. There was one lady in particular, I don't think she's here, but her name was Patricia. And I attended her clinic while I was pregnant. And I remember she came up to visit me. My son was in the special care unit. And she came to see me after he was born. And I always remember that. I thought it was just so lovely that she followed through and she wanted to know how I was after the birth. And there was another young girl. She was a student midwife at the time. I'm sure she's developed on now into her full career. And I remember that she stayed beyond her time. You know, her shift was finished and she was very sort of caring and she didn't want to go until she had stayed with me and helped me through a tricky part of the experience. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and I think that the work that you do sort of encapsulates positivity, because that's what this time I have with you is about. It is about sort of embracing positivity, and I have two goals in mind, and I really want to make the most of the time that you have here, because I appreciate you're all busy, you've taken time out of your busy day, so I'm going to ask you to work with me to the best of your ability so that you really benefit from the time that we have together. So in terms of the power that we have over our own minds and how we use our minds to our advantage rather than our disadvantage is really what I want to hone in on today. So perhaps maybe some of you have witnessed mothers who have used hypnobirthing. I don't know if anyone here has seen a mother. If there's anyone that has, maybe raise your hands. Yeah? Okay, great. So this is a clear-cut example of how people can use their minds to sort of combat any fear, any distress, and also to work with the body. So I have a friend who's a midwife, and she told me that the mothers who come in who have trained in hypnobirthing, she said it's just like a whole different experience, that they come in and they literally breathe out their babies. I wish I'd known that 8.5 years ago, because I didn't do that. Given the opportunity now, I definitely would. So I suppose the reason I ask you that is to sort of demonstrate to you how we can choose what kind of experience that we want in our lives for something like giving birth, and then also for all the other areas of our lives. So what my second aim is for today is that every single person in this room leaves this room feeling more positive than when you did when you entered the room. And I'm going to include myself in that. So every person, even yourself recording, everyone here, Caroline, Laurie, everybody here will feel more positive. And when I say more positive, what I really mean is a whole range of emotions. So positive emotions, obviously. So for example, I want you to feel more calm. I'd like you to feel more relaxed. I'd like you to feel more hopeful, more optimistic, more informed, more confident, more joyful. And it is a beautiful day, so we have a lot to be joyful about. So the weather's on my side here. So in order to gauge that, what we need to do is we need to tap into how you are right now, how everybody in this room feels right now, how busy your minds are. So what I'm going to do is just to show you a sort of scale of how we can gauge our levels as we are now, and then we're going to do it again at the end of the seminar. So let's imagine that 0 represents being very calm, okay? That we feel really, really calm, we're relaxed, our thoughts are slow, we're feeling that we're completely sort of in control of our own minds, and everything is working as we want it to do, okay? And then we look at number 10. Now this is a place where I meet a lot of people who are sort of hovering around here. And what's happening is that their brains are sort of overloaded, if you like, with too many thoughts. The to-do list, the clients, the patients, the work at home, what will I have for dinner tonight? What will happen at this meeting, at this party, this weekend? How busy our brains can be. And the truth is that a mind left unattended does get very, very busy. So what we've got to do is tap into ourselves right now, and we're going to find out what number you think, being as honest as you can with yourself, what number you think your brain is at, your mind is at. 0 being very calm, and 10 being very busy. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just really quickly, just to close your eyes. And the very first number that pops into your mind, I don't want you to analyze it, I don't want you to think about it, but just the very first number that pops into your mind, I want you to just take it, hold it, almost like taking a snapshot of it, keep it there, and open your eyes. Okay. So I'm just going to check and see generally what kind of level we're at in the room. Okay, so perhaps somebody from the back there, the gentleman, what number did you see in your mind there?
5.
5. Okay, that's quite a nice healthy place, but it would be nice to be down to maybe a 2 or a 3. Why not? So that your brain is just lovely and calm and your mind is working for you. What about yourself there? What number did you see?
7.
7. Okay, we've got some work to do here. Okay, and maybe just one more. Yourself, what number? 4. Okay, lovely. So we've got a 4, a 5, and a 7. Okay. So what we're going to do is work towards getting these numbers into a sort of calmer sort of place, a really healthy place for most of us to be. To be honest, is like between here and here, because when your mind is calm, when you feel that you're really aware of your thoughts, and your mind is in a place where you can make decisions without the busyness of the brain or without any negative thought patterns, then you tend to make better decisions and you tend to feel a lot more healthy in your mind and your body. So we're just going to move on to a positive visualization. Now, how many people have seen this movie Inside Out? Yeah? Hands up. Anybody with children definitely has seen it, and certainly even people without children, because yes, it is a kids' movie, but I really believe that it's very good for adults too. It informs us about our minds, the different aspects of our minds. And in this picture here, we see the character of Joy. And we see her holding what this is representing a happy memory. And we see the character of Sadness, who's also involved. And we learn from the film how important sadness, her role plays in it. That rather than trying to get rid of sadness, she needs to be embraced and brought into the story. So, what I'd like to talk about now is really our units of attention. And this is something that positive psychology looks at. That we have a certain amount of attention each and every day. That we have a resource, if you like, of energy and attention. Where we put this attention is absolutely paramount to our mental well-being. I want to give you a really clear-cut example of this. So for example, I can choose to look out right now at the beautiful blue sky. And all of a sudden, all of my attention, my focus, is on something that's light, that's bright and beautiful, and I can feel the chemicals in my body responding to that. Just a very quick example. Or I can decide that I'm going to find something maybe not so positive, like I don't know, there's this over here, this mark here, or a stain on the carpet, or something's broken. And I start to put all my attention on that. And what happens to my brain then is I start to feel more kind of irritated. I start to feel drained, and my energy can start to go. So the truth is we always have a choice. And a lot of what I'm going to talk to you about today is that choice. We have a choice where we put our attention. And where you put your attention will flourish, and where you take it away from will wither. So what I'm going to do with you all now is I'm going to do a lovely positive programming visualization. I'm going to ask you all to work with me to the best of your ability. And really what this is about is that you simply just follow my voice. You don't have to do anything at all. And how often in life do we get that opportunity? We're all under so much pressure, at work, at home, the responsibilities that you have. So this is time that is just for you, that you've taken time to come here today, to listen to me. I appreciate that. And I want to really allow you to experience a lovely relaxation, where you simply have to follow my voice. You don't have to do anything at all, and just notice the difference that you can feel when you use the power of your imagination. So I'm going to ask you now to just work with me, and I'm going to ask everyone here to simply just close their eyes. So if everybody would close your eyes for me. And I want you to keep your eyes closed. What I'd like you to do is simply bring your attention into this space. I want you to imagine that the past starts to disappear and the future fades away. That everything that you need is right here in this moment. All of your attention, right here, right now. Start to focus on your breath. Start to notice the rhythm of your breath. In a moment, and not right now, I'm going to count to 3. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths together. And when we do this, we're going to notice our ability to breathe in a beautiful positive light, and then to exhale anything that you wish to get rid of. Any stresses or strains, any tensions, you can just imagine them leaving your body. So we're going to do this as a group. I'm going to count to 3, and we'll do it together. Really deep breaths right down from your abdomen. So counting to 3. 1, 2, and 3. Just breathing in and slowly exhale. And lovely deep breath in and slowly exhale. And lovely deep breath in. Beautiful positive light as you slowly exhale. And just notice after 3 deep breaths how you can feel so much more calm and centered. As we prepare to go on a beautiful journey together, all I ask is that you simply listen to my voice. And if you choose to allow it, you can notice my voice can relax you. So what I'd like everyone in this room to do is just slowly repeat silently to yourself the following sentence. I now give myself full permission to enjoy a beautiful level of deep relaxation. So just repeating that silently to yourself. I now give myself full permission to enjoy a beautiful deep relaxation. As we go on this journey, you will notice yourself becoming more and more calm, more and more positive. And I'm going to ask you now to, as quickly as you can, to allow a really happy memory to start to come into your mind. A happy moment in your life. It could have been earlier today, yesterday, last week, last month, or even from when you were a child. But I want you to start to recreate this moment right now. So we're bringing this moment into the present. We're bringing all of the connections to that moment. I want you to use all of your 5 senses to really start to recreate this happy and joyful moment and memory in your life. Start to imagine the colors that you can see, where you were. Perhaps it was a special occasion Perhaps you were on holiday. Wherever you were, start to imagine these colors almost like they're in 3D, really bright, really sharp. Imagine using all of your 5 senses to enjoy the moment, the people that you were with, or perhaps you were alone. It really doesn't matter. But just start to imagine and the feeling of love that you had in that moment. Really allow yourself to experience it, to relive it, who you were with. The sounds that you could hear, allow yourself to hear the sounds. If you were in nature, perhaps you could hear the sounds of nature. Wherever you were, the sounds of laughter, joy. Imagine the aroma, the smell, the aromas that you can smell. Allow yourself now to inhale that lovely, incredible, powerful smell of happiness and joy and all it means to you. Imagine reaching out and touching something in this place, and as soon as you do, I want you to imagine that a beautiful golden light starts to travel through your right hand. That this memory is in fact now becoming a beautiful golden light. A golden light that represents that moment and all the joy, all the feelings of bliss, of freedom, of being content, of peace, relaxed and calm. And you feel it in your right hand now. This wonderful golden light, just like the ball that Joy was holding in the picture. It's that exact same color. It's the light of the sun. It's the light of love and light. And it's traveling through your body right now. And as it goes through your body from your right hand, it's starting to go through your right arm, traveling down through into your chest. Imagine this healing light is just allowing every organ to benefit from this beautiful, incredibly powerful, positive light. Going down to your chest, traveling upwards into your neck, and it starts to relax your muscles so they soften. And you start to feel the support beneath you. And you start to allow yourself to focus purely on my voice. As every other thought starts to just drift and sift away. And you feel it now traveling all the way through, up into your face, your cheeks, your jaw. And it's this lovely lightness and brightness. And it travels back down now to your chest, into your left arm, right into your left hand, traveling more and more into your stomach. Feel it in your stomach now, and imagine that light just filling your stomach with this beautiful, happy memory. The sounds, the smells, the aromas, the feelings, traveling down further into your legs, your knees, all the way to the tips of your toes until your whole body is bathed in this lovely light. I'm going to ask you now to just take your right hand, and I want you to place your right hand on your heart. And just as you do that, the light gets even stronger. Just allow your hand to go to your heart and allow it to start to travel into your heart. And all of the memories of that moment could be as if they're right now. The joy, the freedom, the happiness, the contentment, the peace. It's all here right now in your mind and body. And I want you to keep this feeling for me. I want you to just pause it, keep it for me. In a moment, not right now, in a moment I'm going to count upwards to 3. When I count to 3, you're going to simply stand up, you're going to open your eyes, and you're going to keep that feeling with you. So the moment I'm going to count to 3, you'll open your eyes and then you'll stand up. So counting to 3. 1, 2, and 3. Open your eyes. Now everyone stand up for me. You're doing brilliant. I thank you so much. Everyone standing up. And as you stand up, I want you to take your right hand. Take your right hand or your left hand, and I want you to take the hand of the person that's beside you. So whoever's beside you, take their hand. That's lovely. And again, reach across the aisle, everyone, if you can. Everybody has a hand. If you can take 2 hands, all the better, okay? Has everyone got a hand? Lovely. Don't leave anyone out. Okay. Closing our eyes again. I want everyone to close your eyes. Okay, so that light, that memory, if you can remember that memory, we've now got a collective memory. All of that light is transferring through you into the next person, the next person, and the next person. So all of those memories are now coming into this room, into this space. And that beautiful golden light is going to every single corner of this room. It's going into me. I can feel it. It's going into everyone here. This beautiful golden light is now getting so strong and so positive that it's starting to spread out. It's starting to go into every other room in this building. It's starting to go down the street towards the main hospital. It's starting to go into every new mother in the building, every new baby, every family member, every staff who's working so hard. It's going into them. This beautiful, collective, happy, golden light is going through every single one. And it's getting too big for the hospital, so it's reaching out now. It's going into Marion Street, Square Gardens. All the people enjoying the sun, having their ice creams, are feeling this wonderful, beautiful light. And I want you to keep that feeling with you. Keep it there. Notice the difference. In a moment, I'll count to 3. You can open your eyes and you can take a seat again. So 1, 2, and 3. Just opening your eyes and taking a seat. So the positive habit, well, first of all, the positive habit really is the ability to make positivity a habit. I'm a big believer in how much of our thought patterns are, in fact, habitual. So when we start to change our thought patterns and make them more positive as a habit, as a learned skill, rather than just hoping, it can make a huge difference. I don't know how many people here have heard of the Jewish psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. If anybody has heard of him, maybe let me know. Is there any hands there? Okay, so there's a few people. A lot of people haven't, in fairness. But he's one of my great sort of mentors in the sense that he wrote a seminal book called Man's Search for Meaning. And his whole idea was that he survived 3 years of Auschwitz. So he was under the most horrific, challenging situations that any human being could be under. And his whole theory was about our ability to choose. And one of his famous quotes is that everything can be taken from a man, but one thing. And that is man's last freedom, to choose one's attitude to any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So he survived the camp, like a lot of other people, unfortunately, did not. And he puts a lot of it down to his mental strength. His wife was in another camp, and every evening he used to imagine himself and his wife, after the war, in front of a lovely warm fire, reunited. This sort of image in his mind is what actually got him through the torture and the awful tribulations he went through. So it is the ability to choose how we wish to think and feel. The positive habit is the ultimate mental workout. Now what I mean by this, and this is something I talk a lot about with my clients, is the idea of comparing our mental health to our physical health. So a lot of us will be very aware of the importance to get exercise, to look after our bodies, to eat the right food. But how many of us really start to think about our mental health and how that needs so much care and attention, just like our bodies? It's also the idea that when we get fit, let's imagine we go to the gym, we get ourselves healthy, we do our football, we go, run a marathon, whatever it is. Do we then stop and say, no, that's great, I'm fit now, I can stop, and I'm back on the sofa, I've got my Ben and Jerry's and my Netflix, and that's it, and I'm done. It doesn't work like that. We have to keep to maintain our level of fitness. And your mental health is absolutely no different. So when you get to a good place in your mental health, it's time then to continue to look after it, rather than just to stop and say, I'm okay now. Because I don't believe that we ever get to a place where we can just say, I'm okay. We need to consistently care for and nurture our mental health so that we have the resources for the times in our life when we do face challenges. So when everything is going along at a sort of, happy enough rate where everything is working as we hope, that we have the resources then to deal with the challenges that come to each and every one of us at different points in our life, whether it's bereavement, whether it's divorce, being redundant, whatever it is, the challenges that we all face at different points. So that is the idea of comparing our physical health to our mental health. Now, this is a term that I love to use, and Ruby Wax actually says this term, neuroplasticity, should be shouted from the rooftops. And I couldn't agree more with her. So just to have once more a raise of hands of how many people have actually heard of it. And just before you think, oh God, I don't know what it is, most people don't. I've actually very few people who have, really understand what this word means. So So is there anyone here who really does know what it means rather than, no. Okay, great, woo, okay. And you know, to be honest, it is unusual. Most people don't, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just that it's not really spoken about enough. And that's one of the things I'm very passionate about, is getting this out as much as I can. Neuroplasticity actually means our ability to rewire our own minds. So the word plastic, obviously plasticity, is that our brains are flexible. So I'm going to show you a 2-minute short video that will actually sum up exactly what this is, probably more clearly than I can describe it to you myself.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-travelled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep travelling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
So, just out of interest there, what does anybody think about that? It's pretty empowering, really, isn't it, to know that we can change our brains? Because when I was growing up, it was certainly the idea that the brain was fixed, that you had this sort of chemical brain model where it was not able to change after a certain age. So I think that there's so much sort of hope that we're not stuck. The idea you hear a lot of, you know, she's a born warrior, or that's just the way she is, there's nothing that can be done, is actually not true. And that's what neuroscience is teaching us. And I think that's very, very important, that that word is spread, especially to young people, that they can, in fact, actually change their brain. And the most powerful way to do that is your thoughts. And the most powerful way also is the power of your imagination. So I think it is very, very interesting to learn that. So we are creatures of habit. Now Aristotle said, if we are what we repeatedly do, then excellence is not an act, but a habit. So 45% of what we do is actually habitual. So a very sort of easy example of this is to give you the example of driving a car. How many of you have had the experience where you drive a familiar route and you sort of go, I don't even know how I got here, but yet you did. And that was actually your subconscious mind that was driving you there. You trained it, it knows the route, and it'll bring you there, which is pretty, you know, a powerful thing to have, a very useful thing in one way, but not so useful if something unexpected happens. Our reaction time can be slower. Your conscious mind can drift off and start to think about what you're going to make for dinner and what you need to do at work, etc., etc. And we all experience this on a regular basis. However, if you take a different route to work, your conscious mind needs to be much more involved because you're aware what's turn is next. So your conscious mind is then engaged in that. So there are positives and negatives to this aspect of the way our minds work. But what I'm really concerned about is the habit of thinking, that so many people get into a negative thought pattern of thinking. And what I really want to help people with is the idea that this is not their fault. It is a habit, and habits can be changed. That if you think about yourself in a negative way, or if you are sort of prone to seeing the negative or complaining, that it is not set, that there is a lot that can be done. So the idea here is that you choose how you want to think, feel and behave. That you choose, just the way you go into a paint store and you choose what colour you want for your walls. You actually have that ability to choose yourself. And the idea here is, I'm going to talk more about the subconscious mind and how the subconscious and the conscious minds are really sort of pretty much merged up to the age of 7. And I'm sure you've heard the expression, the age of reason. And 7-year-old children, 6, 7 years of age, usually start to question things more. They start to say, well, how does Santa get down every single chimney in all of Ireland, in all of the world? We start to think of it differently. Whereas up to that age, children have an incredible ability to believe there's fairies at the end of the garden. They don't question it. And the reason for that is that our conscious and our subconscious minds are much more merged. And when they start to separate, the conscious mind is going to start to analyse, it's going to start to ask questions, it's going to start to judge. This, once again, is comparing our mental health to our physical health. So the more you train, the more positive you get. So it's all about consistency. The more consistent we are, the more then our brains actually, if you think of the video you just saw, it's not just once is enough, it needs to be consistent. And a lot of people are very consistent at being negative, and therefore, voila, it works. The same for the positive, except it requires even more effort. Because neuroscientists talk about how, positivity in the brain is almost like Teflon. It'll just go away very quickly. And negativity is like Velcro. And this is all to do with the negativity bias in our brains, which I'll talk about later. So the important thing here to understand is that negative thinking is not your fault. And that's something I really believe in helping people with, to sort of take away that sense of pressure that people put on themselves. I should be more positive. What's wrong? Why can't I think more positively? And the more pressure they put on themselves, the more then the negative thought patterns tend to be stronger for them. Now, a lot of the clients that I see, and I'm sure we've all experienced it ourselves at some point, will have the feeling that they say to me, I feel like I'm wearing a mask. I feel like I'm not really me. I feel like I have to put on a performance every day at work. Or I feel that I'm going to be found out. The one day I'm going to go into work and they're going to say, do you know what, we actually now have decided we don't want you here anymore. And I'm talking about very successful people who would be experiencing confidence issues, low self-esteem. And that is generally down to the negative sort of critical voice in their mind that's telling them that perhaps they're just not good enough. So Gandhi also talks about how when you say what you do and what you think are all in harmony, that's what happiness is. And I couldn't agree more, because the idea of reflecting outwardly what you genuinely feel inside is a really wonderful feeling. And that gives you the confidence that you actually are not just putting on an act, you're not pretending, but you actually feel this. And you feel it because you've done the mental workout in your mind to back up what you're showing out there, rather than this awful feeling of pretending or putting on a mask, which is very, very common. So who is in charge? Okay, so this is about sort of getting into the brass tacks a little bit more of how to help you sort of experience what I'm talking about and how to make it something that you can actually practice on a day-to-day basis. So who is in charge, your conscious or your subconscious mind? Any guesses? What do people think would be? Subconscious, yes. Okay, well, let's just see what the next slide says. And we have 90% is subconscious, okay? Our beliefs, our emotions, our habits, confidence, our values, and our identity. All of these things are living in our subconscious, and they're there from a very early age. Now you all work in a maternity hospital, so you see every day the wonder of a new life, how a new baby is born. And most new babies don't come into the world with a sense of low self-esteem or thinking bad about themselves. That's not how it works. A new baby is programmed obviously to survive, and so are we as we grow older. However, our conditioning, our early life experiences do have an impact on how we are today. So many people are carrying around this sort of almost unnecessary baggage with a belief system that no longer serves them, or a coping mechanism that is out of date. So for example, a belief perhaps that we are lazy could be something that we were told as a child at school by a teacher who was in a bad mood, who had issues herself, and yet we start to believe it. So if you hear these things at an early age, they can have a huge impact. But my sort of idea here is that it is not necessarily true. And it's about questioning those beliefs and going beyond them. So negative thinking is not your fault, and I said that earlier, and I think that's really important to understand. So the subconscious mind has 90% of the driving power. So it's so important to identify the negative thought patterns that we have and to understand them, where they originated, and to challenge them, because a lot of these things are not helping on a day-to-day basis. And this brings me to the image of becoming your own parent. So I want you to just imagine for a moment that the mother here, she looks very caring, she looks very loving, but this is your conscious mind. I'm just going to make it as clear as I can for you. So this is your conscious mind, and the baby is your subconscious. Okay? What I mean by this is that your subconscious mind is open to suggestion. It's vulnerable. It's very, very suggestible. And it really relies on somebody to guide it. It needs a sort of protector, if you like. It needs somebody to nurture it, to care for it, to mind it, to show it. And how important it is then obviously for babies to have a mother who has that sort of care and that they want the very best for you. So this can be an analogy that can actually help you. So when you're suffering with any, negative thoughts that might come into your mind, you can simply just imagine that your conscious mind can sort of step in there and say, do you know what? Don't worry, pet. You're doing a great job. I think you're fantastic. And that's a lovely voice to hear. It is the voice of a mother, and we all know what that's like, or hopefully we do, that sense of being cared for and nurtured, and somebody who wants the very, very best for us. So it's that relationship that we have with ourselves. What kind of relationship do you have with yourself? Is it one that is kind? Is it one that is supportive? Or is it one that can be critical? And this is really key into how your mental health, how you feel about yourself, how you interact with the world, how you are at work with your colleagues, how you are with your patients, with the mothers. So becoming your own parent is just a sort of metaphor of that relationship between the conscious mind and the subconscious. And this is just to show you the idea of leaving your subconscious unattended. If we look at this image, we can see a baby, a small, toddler, completely exposed and vulnerable. And I'd like to compare this idea of the subconscious when it is sort of unattended, when our conscious mind has gone away, when we've left the building, if you like, our awareness is gone, then that is when a lot of sort of unfortunate events can happen. This could be somebody who's too drunk, for example. We can see, what it's like when somebody's very drunk, they're not actually in control. And their subconscious, their old reticular system of the brain is actually in charge. And that is quite sort of frightening to be around, or somebody on drugs, or where they've left, the conscious mind is no longer there. So we need, just like this child needs a mother to care for it, it needs somebody here to pick it up off the road and say, come with me, I'll look after you. We all need that in terms of our conscious mind. It needs to step in for moments and help us, rather than just leaving us and hoping that we'll be okay. Because we won't. We need that care and that attention. So how do we do this? Well, I like to think of it as a sort of, almost like a teacher, a guardian, a parent, giving clear and consistent instructions. So the more consistent we are, just like the way we are with children, the more we focus on the positive. A lot of you will have heard of sort of positive parenting, and how important it is to bring out the positive in your child rather than always focus on don't do this and don't do that. But to say, oh, I'm really pleased with how you tidied up your plate or whatever it may be. So to bring that out, and then what happens is you start to see the child illustrate more of that positive behaviour, which is exactly what you want. So give clear and consistent instructions to yourself. Be kind. And I can't emphasise that enough, to be kind. Be kind to yourself, in particular for moments when you don't feel good. Those are the moments where you need an abundance of kindness. And be authoritative. So that's the idea of the conscious mind taking control. Remember, you've only 90% of you is subconscious, so that 10% has to be very aware and very authoritative and very clear with their instructions. So the habit of happiness, and this is what my digital program really looks at, is making it a habit. Now, ever since we were children, we were all told, of course, we must brush our teeth every day. It's such an important thing to do. If we don't do it, our teeth will fall out and rot and decay. Your brain is a muscle also, and it's no different. So we need to incorporate this habit into our lives every day. And a way to build up habits is to actually sort of link in a new habit to an already established habit, because that's the way we will remember it. So every day we don't forget, most of the time, to brush our teeth. It's something we do automatically. So what I suggest is that you can link in the idea of, what can I do today to look after my mental health? What can I do to make sure that I'm reaching my full positive potential? What can I do to nurture and care for my brain today, to mind myself? What can I do to implement a self-care program? So it's that idea of bringing it in to your everyday and making a habit of it. So how do we do this? Well, there's lots of different ways we can do this, and there's never been a better time because we have so much exposure out there. There's so many different things that we can access now. I think it's fantastic. So one of the things that I'm going to give everyone here today, and everyone in the hospital if they're welcome to, is a positive suggestions MP3. And that is my voice that you can just listen to talking to you, just a little bit like what we did earlier. But it's a nice calm, it'll allow your whole mind and body to relax, so you get into a really nice relaxed state. And then what happens is a lot of positive suggestions will start to flow in. And just even listening to that, last thing at night before you go to bed, or taking 20 minutes if you can, during the weekend or the day you get it, and just listening to it will really, really help you. So I do encourage you all to do that after the session. Another thing is meditation, and mindfulness obviously is so big at the moment, and I would practice this myself. I think it's a really good way of living in the present moment, of being fully present. How many of you have tried meditation or mindfulness? Is there anyone here that would? Yeah? Okay, so isn't it amazing that how many people are actually embracing it? And do you find that it would be helpful? Is it something you feel that actually does help you every day? Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing then is just the idea of getting out into nature. There's a lot of research into this. The more time we spend in nature, the better it is for our mental health. It's really important. Walks, staying active obviously, and spend time with positive people. Now, I can't emphasize this enough, because the more you are around positive people, the more you start to pick that up. And we all know these kind of people, and they are like beacons of light that everybody wants to be around. So, think about the people in your life. Think about your family, your friends, and sort of reach out to those people and spend time with them as much as you can. Hugs. The research shows that 8 hugs a day is actually really, really beneficial. 8. Who's counting?
We'll have to reduce.
It releases a lot of oxytocin. And obviously oxytocin, you all know about in this hospital, is a very lovely feeling. So the more natural oxytocin we can get, the better. Another thing I recommend to my clients is to do something that you love to do as a child. Now, this is something that we forget about. As we get older, the responsibilities, work, family, we're all juggling different things. However, if you think back to when you were a child, quite often the main aim of the day was, could you get out and do your favourite sport? Or would you have time to go to your art class? Or what could you do that you really love to do? Whereas now, it seems to take, it goes way, way down on the list of priorities. However, finding time in your life to do something that you genuinely love to do is what we call in the positive psychology movement is being in flow, where time just seems to drift away and you're so absorbed with the activity that all of your being is in this lovely state of flow. So something like, I don't know whether you like to dance, sing, draw. One of my favourite things to do was actually roller skate. I used to love roller skating with my friends. I'd call around to them and we'd buzz off on our skates. So what I've been doing is I still have a pair of roller skates. I'll go down Dunleary Pier, I'll go on my own, I don't care, and I could be 10 years of age again, and I'm just skating, and it's the most wonderful feeling. So it's just sort of finding the time in your life to embrace that, to bring it in. Another thing that positive psychology, again, is very big on, and the research is huge in terms of gratitude. To show gratitude every day. So finding, let's say 3 things that you're grateful for every day, and to actually sort of recognize and acknowledge it. You can do this perhaps with your family at dinner, or you can write it down in your journal yourself, but just 3 good things that happened. And unfortunately what happens is a lot of people do the opposite. They come home and they say 3 things that went wrong. The traffic was awful, my boss was in a bad mood, and then all of a sudden the whole day seems to be so much heavier. But if you actually seek out the positive, you make a mental conscious note, what good thing happened today? Oh, my colleague came in and gave me a cup of coffee, it was really nice of her. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but these things are little moments where we can focus our attention on. Be kind to yourself, and I've said that before, and I do really, really emphasize that. The more kind we are to ourselves, the more kind, in fact, we are to others. And that really makes sense, because if you're feeling good about yourself, and you're kind to yourself, your ability to reach out, to be kind to your patients, to your friends, your family, etc., is so much more strong. And it's obvious, but it has to be said, it was the healthy diet. There were some dietitians here in the room. So, all of the research again shows how food actually has such an impact on our mental health, on the brain as well. So just to help you along, I think it is so important to obviously have a healthy diet. And just to sort of finish up here, remember what you take your attention away from withers. So this is just a clear image, and what you put your attention on flourishes. And for more information, you can visit thepositivehabit.com. That's my online digital program. And then this is also my own website for my clients. So before we finish up, I will give you just a few minutes at the end if anyone has any questions. You're more than welcome to ask them. But what I'd like to do is just one final little relaxation with you, and to sort of help see how you feel right now, as opposed to when we first came into this room, after everything that we have learned. So I'm just going to ask everyone to once again just close your eyes for me, okay? And once again, just following my voice, I want you to just focus on your breathing. And anyone who's done mindfulness will know how important it is to just literally allow the breath to flow through your body without trying to change it, without trying to alter it. But just simply allow the breath to flow through your body. And I want you to start to now notice any thoughts that are going through your mind, and to just simply allow these thoughts to start to pass like clouds in the sky, just letting them pass. I want you to imagine and just pretend, tapping into the creative power of your imagination. Imagine that you find yourself standing on the shore of a really beautiful beach. You're gazing out at what has to be one of the most incredible sunsets you've ever seen. I want you to start to really allow the sunset to be so strong in your mind, the colours of the sky. I want you to find a colour that represents to you calmness. And I want you to find that this colour is now right up there in the sky. And it's that time of day where everything is becoming stiller and quieter, and dusk will soon fall. And you're gazing out at the beautiful sun that's going to slowly start to set into the horizon. Imagine the lovely reflection of the sun on the top of the ocean, beautiful dancing sunspots. And I want you to imagine you stand there with your shoulders back, your head up. Perhaps you can feel your 2 feet firmly on the ground, and the sand beneath your toes. Your shoulders are back, and you have a wonderful sense of being calm and relaxed. And you notice that colour of calmness coming down from the sky, going through your whole body, allowing you to feel even more calm and even more relaxed. In a moment, I'm going to count down from 5 down to 1. You're just going to imagine that the sun will slowly set into the horizon. By the time I get to 1, the sun will have completely set, and your mind will be 5 times more calm than it is right now. All you have to do is just simply want it to happen. And the truth is, you can make it happen really easily, just by simply following my voice and allowing yourself and permitting yourself to relax even further, taking this opportunity that has been created for you to allow your whole mind and body to relax even more. So gazing out at that sunset now, imagining the beautiful golden lantern of the sun just hanging suspended over the horizon. As you take a deep breath, just take a lovely deep breath, filling up your lungs, and 5. Just imagine the sun slowly starting to sink. And as it does, your whole mind and body goes down with it. Every muscle softens and relaxes. You feel the support beneath you. You can even hear the gentle waves lapping on the shore. As you take another beautiful deep breath in, filling up your lungs, and 4. Just imagining the sun setting even more. Imagine it going down further, and as it does, your mind feels even calmer. And that lovely colour of calmness now is just flooding through your whole body. All of your attention is right here in this room on my voice. And it's easy for you to let go as you take another deep breath now, just filling up your lungs. And you go down to 3, the sun just sinking deeper, deeper and deeper still. Your whole mind and body letting go. You feel so calm that this moment is just the way it should be. That you have everything you need right here and right now. As you take another deep breath, filling your lungs all the way up, and we're nearly at the bottom. Nearly, the sun is just sinking, nearly gone down to 2. It's just peeking out over the horizon. You know, it's just still there, but nearly gone. And soon it's going to sink completely as you take your last and final deep breath, filling up your lungs, and 1. Imagining it's completely gone down. And I want you to now just find a number in your mind that represents how you feel in this moment. Find the number, see the number. I'm going to count to 3 and you're going to open your eyes. So 1, 2, and 3, opening your eyes. So once again, thank you for following me there. And I'm just going to check in with the people that I asked earlier. So the gentleman there, no pressure.
No pressure, no, then 2, for then you're 2 will be asleep.
That is true. Okay, so you were a 5 and you got down to a 2. That's great. I'm delighted to hear that. Thank you. And it was these 2 ladies here, yourself. You were a 2 and you were a 4.
Or was it?
Yeah, okay, lovely. Okay, and yourself, the 7, how did we get on?
5.
5, okay, so it went down. That's good, I'm glad, I'm really glad. So we can see there that that was actually the power of your own minds to bring you there. Do you see what I mean? That you actually did that yourself. Has anyone else got any other numbers anyone else take a big drop down that they'd like to share, or? No? Okay. Okay, so we're going to finish up now, but if anyone has any questions for me, I can take them now for you, if anyone would like to ask anything about the presentation or the experience that you had.